Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I am Ramesh Ramachandran. Coming up in the next hour, Israel pounds northern Gaza. Airstrikes hit areas near 2 hospitals where thousands have taken shelter. UN Security Council to hold an emergency meeting at UAE's request to discuss the situation in Gaza. Indian Foreign Minister meets families of Indians on death row in Qatar, promises to secure their release. And Afghanistan and Sri Lanka face off in the hope of reaching the Cricket World Cup semi-finals. First up, the latest on the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. In the latest, Israel has announced an expansion of its ground operations in Gaza. In response, the Israeli military has released footage of strikes it carried out in the Gaza Strip. The Israeli military reported that it killed dozens of individuals they identified as terrorists. These individuals had reportedly barricaded themselves in buildings and tunnels, attempting to attack the troops. The Israeli military states that it targeted 600 terror-related sites, including weapons depots, anti-tank missile launching positions and hideouts used by the Hamas. And Amrit Pal Singh joins us from Jerusalem. Amrit, what more can you tell us about Israel stepping up its ground assault on Gaza? It's reported that Israeli airstrikes hit areas near Gaza City's Shifa and Al-Quds hospitals.
That's right, Ramesh. The IDF says that it's hit 600 targets in the past 24 hours, up from the 450 that they were reporting yesterday. And they say they've killed dozens of Hamas terrorists or fighters or guerrillas, whatever one wishes to call them. They said they barricaded themselves in tunnels under the Al-Shifa hospital, and their airstrikes, they were backed by airstrikes, UAVs, drones. Eyewitnesses from Gaza say that the Israeli tanks are on the edge of the Gaza city, and the main road to the Gaza city has been cut off. So it is a stepped-up military campaign. The Israeli Navy has also done a beach landing on the coastal strip, the coast of the Gaza Strip, and it's basically not taking part directly in the operations. But the idea is to seal off the border as well, the sea border and the sea coast, so that Hamas fighters cannot run away from there in the later stages of the war, and secondly, no aid or weapons cache or ammunition goes inside Gaza from the sea. So there are land forces there, the naval forces are there, and also the Israeli Air Force is continuously pounding targets inside the Gaza Strip doing airstrikes. That's the situation in Gaza, Ramesh.
Amrit, talk us a bit, if you will, about the situation inside Gaza as well. Have telecom services been restored in the enclave?
No, telecom services have not been restored. The only communication that is happening and the videos coming out of there, which the Hamas's information department and their health ministry, the figures that they're putting up are through satellite communication channels, satellite phones, etc. But internet and telecommunications are not working there. Basically, the Israeli army and the Israeli Air Force has hit mobile network towers and destroyed them completely, so that as you know, information warfare is an integral part of military warfare in the times that we live in. So one, to block communication, and secondly, when you have visuals coming out and playing on television screens and social media, so you gather a certain amount of you try and influence public opinion outside your territories and try and garner support based on that. But so it looks like the Israeli forces, the IDF, is trying to nip it in the bud and trying to control the information from the other side, though information is continuously trickling in, and that has caused, of course, communication problems to the people living there, the civilians living there. Many of them have families separated because many of them have migrated within Gaza with part of their families stuck in northern Gaza. So all that. I yesterday was at the West Bank in Ramallah, and I met a Gazan who had come from Gaza just before the attacks of 7th October. He said that he came on the 5th of October. He wishes to go back, but because now the war is on, he cannot go back. But he does not have contact with his family once the telecommunications were shut down. So that really is the situation, though they've opened 2 water supply lines, and that too to southern Gaza. If I may add, a small glimmer of hope is that on Sunday, 33 trucks passed into the Gaza Strip. That was more than the 20 agreed per day, but that could be because there were earlier shortfalls. And on Saturday and Friday, very few trucks could pass. So yesterday, 33 trucks passed in total, though the UN says it's a drop in the ocean and far, far less than what is required. In fact, the UN UNICEF chief has said, the UNICEF spokesperson has said that parents there are forced to give salty water, sea water to their children because drinking water is in extremely short supply, or there's a huge scarcity of drinking water there. So that is what it is like in the Gaza Strip. Ramesh?
Indeed. And finally, Amrit, a UN peacekeeper, we are given to understand, was injured in an exchange of fire between Israel and the Hezbollah in Lebanon. The Hezbollah also claims to have shot down an Israeli drone. Now, you've just come back from the Israel-Lebanon border. Does the area still remain as tense as ever?
Yes, absolutely. Hezbollah has stepped up their missile and rocket attacks. While I was there, I could actually see rockets pounding Israeli territory, though there was no loss of life because the villages along the border and the towns along the border, 5 kilometers inside the Israeli territory from the border with Lebanon, have been evacuated. It has been declared a military zone, a militarized zone. The Israeli military and a few journalists are allowed to a certain point. So they have stepped up. They had promised to step up the campaign, their attacks, if Israel went in with the ground forces. And as Israel openly proclaims that it is going ahead with the ground operations and the ground assault, and it will widen it further, and it's widening it every day. So Hezbollah has started responding by hitting Syrian targets, including they've tried to hit, Israeli targets, not Syrian targets, Israeli targets inside Israel's territory. Meanwhile, Israel is also responding back by firing missiles and drones into Lebanon and trying to hit at the Hezbollah target. The IDF spokesperson said that they were trying to hit at the base of where these rockets and missiles are emanating from. It's the same situation in the Golan Heights, the border with Syria. They have hit Syrian military bases because there were rockets and missiles fired from Syria Syria into the Golan area. So, you know, the neighbors of Israel, the northern neighbors of Israel, Lebanon and Syria have started actively, basically not the Lebanese army per se, or but you know, they're the Hezbollah from Lebanon and other militia and non-state actors from Syria, backed by the Israelis claim the Syrian army, have started hitting them, and they are responding to it in full measure. Ramesh?
Amrit, thank you. Amrit Pal Singh reporting there from Jerusalem. Now, Monday is day 24 of the Israel-Gaza war. The United Nations has reiterated its call for an immediate ceasefire and the release of all hostages. On Sunday, thousands of people broke into a UN compound in Gaza in search of food and other basic necessities.
As the Israel-Gaza conflict extends into its third week, the United Nations has issued a resounding call for the immediate release of hostages and the urgent delivery of sustained humanitarian relief at a scale commensurate with the pressing needs of the people in Gaza.
I urge all those with responsibility to step back from the brink. And I reiterate my appeal for an immediate humanitarian ceasefire, the unconditional release of all hostages, and the delivery of a sustained humanitarian relief at a scale that meets the needs of the people of Gaza.
Meanwhile, the United Nations Palestinian Refugee Agency has painted a grim picture of desperation at warehouses and distribution centers in the region. Scenes of despair underscore the urgent requirement for humanitarian aid.
This is an indication that people in Gaza have reached a breaking point. The levels of desperation, their frustration, their fear, their concern, they have been living under tight siege for more than 3 weeks.
Adding to the chorus of international concern, the International Committee of the Red Cross has called for a temporary ceasefire and the establishment of more sustainable aid support for the Gaza Strip, responding to the ongoing humanitarian crisis within the enclave.
Give up hope. I think we need a humanitarian pause. So humanitarian pause is urgently needed in Gaza to save more lives.
Humanitarian aid supplies to Gaza have been severely impeded since Israel initiated a series of airstrikes in response to a deadly attack by the ruling militant group Hamas on October the 7th. The United Nations Relief and Works Agency reports that its capacity to assist the people in Gaza has been stretched to the limit due to the airstrikes.
The United Nations Security Council will hold an emergency meeting on Monday afternoon, New York time, to discuss the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. It'll be at the request of the United Arab Emirates. The UN Security Council has failed in its attempts to stop the war in Gaza, as its members were unable to approve either the United States' resolution calling for humanitarian pauses or Russia's calling for an immediate ceasefire. Hundreds of anti-Israel protesters stormed Russia's Dagestan airport in the western region of the country. Police officers arrested 60 people. More than 20 were injured in the demonstration. The protests began after the landing of an airliner from Tel Aviv. The Russian Aviation Authority has since closed the airport for flights until it completes security checks. The head of Dagestan inspected the Makhachkala airport after pro-Palestinian refugees went on a rampage. And Dasha Chernysheva joins us from Moscow for more on this story. Dasha, what more can you tell us about this bizarre but scary episode of a mob running amok at a Russian airport looking for Israelis and Jews?
Well, that's right. We understand that hundreds of anti-Israeli protesters have stormed the airport of Makhachkala, which is the capital of Russia's Dagestan region, which is predominantly Muslim. They broke into the airport runway after the plane from Tel Aviv had landed, and they have been searching for the people who have arrived from Israel, searching for Jews. And obviously, the incident has gathered a lot of attention nationwide. nationwide and internationally. We understand that 60 people have been detained and the identities of 150 who have been described as the most active ones have been established, and the Russian Investigative Committee is looking into what has caused this rally. We understand from the local authorities that at least 20 people have been injured, including the police officers. There have been hospitalizations as well. But at the same time, we understand that the functioning of the airport has been suspended. The head of the Dagestan has said that the airport will get back into function in about 2 or 3 days. In the meantime, of course, he has been calling for calm and restraint, stressing that what has happened in the Republic at the airport was absolutely unacceptable.
Dasha, for the benefit of viewers watching this broadcast, do you see it as an isolated incident, or is it symptomatic of a larger malaise prevalent in some societies, including Dagestan, which is a predominantly Muslim region?
Well, we have seen the flurry of condemnation and criticism from the Russian officials, all saying that that is absolutely unacceptable. They have been calling for restraint, for peace, and for the attempts to remain calm in this very difficult period of time. At the same time, some Russian authorities have been saying that that is an incident that has been perpetrated from outside, stressing that the coordination of that rally, of that riot, has been taking place in the Telegram channel, which is operated from Ukraine. So the Russian authorities have unanimously criticized the protesters, saying that this was amounting to the terrorism activities and this should not be repeated. We also understand that some Russian officials have been saying that it is absolutely detrimental at this very period of time when Russia is also holding on its so-called special military operation in Ukraine, and all of the efforts of those riders should have been not in that place and not at that time. At the same time, obviously, we have seen a lot of criticism from the Russian officials, stressing that the authorities should not allow that to happen once again. Of course, there are many questions as to why that did happen, and the authorities are trying to stress that that is an isolated incident, as you have pointed out, and that is not the malaise that is spreading around the Russian society, as, for instance, the Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky has been hinting. So the isolated incident is probably the right description of that incident, but at the same time, the Russian authorities are saying that this should not be repeated. And again, there is a trace of outside influence in what has happened.
Dasha, thank you. Much appreciated. And still to come on DD India News Hour. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi launches development projects in the western state of Gujarat. Indian Foreign Minister meets the families of the 8 Indians on death row in Qatar. And a temporary bridge connecting the eastern and southern regions of the flood-hit northeastern Indian state of Sikkim opens.
Wherever news breaks, whatever it takes.
Connecting corners, cutting across continents.
Stories that matter from across the globe.
Accurate, authentic journalism that serves you right. From politics to glamour, from sports to world affairs, with a fusion of aesthetics and substance. Introducing news in a new avatar. Experience the world through a new lens. Stay tuned to DD India for an exciting journey beyond borders.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurated and dedicated to the nation and laid the foundation stone of projects worth 5,800 crore rupees in the western state of Gujarat. The projects in multiple sectors such as rail, road, drinking water and irrigation were dedicated to the nation. 2 schemes for provisioning of drinking water and water treatment plant of 80 MLD capacity were dedicated as well. The projects whose foundation stone were laid include irrigation facilities, sewerage and septage management. India's Prime Minister Modi is on a 2-day visit to Gujarat starting Monday. Earlier, he was greeted by a large number of people. Prime Minister Modi offered prayers to Lord Ambaji at the Ambaji Temple. It is located near the southwestern end of the Aravalli mountain range. The Ambaji Mata Temple is one of the 51 shrines in India. On the auspicious occasion of National Unity Day, Prime Minister Modi will participate in the program marking the culmination of the Meri Mati Mera Desh, which means My Country, My Soil, campaign launched as part of the Amrit Kalash Yatra at Kartavya Path, the central promenade in India's capital, New Delhi. Now, Meri Mati Mera Desh envisions a unified celebration of India's soil and valor, commemorating the nation's journey of freedom and progress. By connecting with the land and honoring country's heroes, this program instills a sense of national pride and inspires future generations to protect India's cherished heritage. Prime Minister Modi will also inaugurate a garden and a memorial during the program. He will address thousands of pilgrims joining the program from across the country. India's Foreign Minister S Jaishankar met this morning with the families of the 8 Indians detained in Qatar. He stressed that the government attaches the highest importance to the case and fully shares the concerns and pain of the families. He underlined that the government will continue to make all efforts to secure their release, and it will coordinate closely with the families in this regard. Meanwhile, Indian Navy Chief Admiral R. Hari Kumar said efforts are being made to get relief for the personnel.
Every effort is being made by the government to ensure that we take up through the legal course and find relief for our personnel.
And earlier we spoke to DD India's Vinod Kumar in Dubai. Take a listen.
See, Qatar has not made the charges public yet, but there have been reports, especially from the UK Financial Times, which says that they have been accused of espionage or spying for Israel. So we should also see the profile of these people who have been indicted in Qatar. All of them are ex-Navy officials, senior officials, except one. And Commander Tiwari was the commander of the Eastern Naval Fleet and he's worked in INS Magar. And he's a naval veteran having extensive experience and moreover, he's a Pravasi Bharatiya Samman awardee of 2019. So why would someone who is of such high stature, who is an ex-Navy professional, will do a charge on spying, that too for a foreign country? So these questions still needs to be answered. At this moment, we do not have much information on what has really transpired in Qatar and what are the charges they are facing. We do not have much information, and Qatar's procedures has not been very transparent. But sources from Qatar say that they have been working in a private capacity at Doordarshan Global, but the CEO of the company has not been indicted. If you see past cases, in 2016, if you remember, 23 internationals were given pardon during the month of Ramadan by the Emir. Emir of Qatar is having the highest authority. He can do pardon even for prisoners who have been punished for death.
India's Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman addressed the Global Conference on Cooperation in Enforcement Matters organized by the Directorate of Revenue Intelligence in New Delhi on Monday. While addressing the conference, the minister said that this global conference should provide many practical ideas in the area of prevention and deterrence.
The most important silo which I want to talk about, and I keep referring it to a silo, but not to mean that it is so watertight that we cannot have things shared from it and into it, is the prevention and deterrence. Prevention of illegal trade, prevention of smuggling, prevention of those which are not at all desirable for any country's sovereign authority. And in prevention, deterrence is now a word which I would like to add, almost you would say mean the same, but no, deterrence is also strengthened by the fact that you're alert, you've held back some of these smuggled goods, and you show a dedication and commitment to completely destroy what you've caught and not again put it into the market in one or the other way, even though it may be legitimate. So prevention and deterrence is that particular area in which I would think this global conference on cooperation in enforcement matter should give a lot of workable ideas.
A series of blasts at a prayer meeting in the southern Indian state of Kerala's Kalamassery has killed at least 3 people and left several critically injured. Kerala's Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan has declared the formation of a special 20-member team to conduct a thorough investigation. Meanwhile, an all-party meeting chaired by the Chief Minister is underway at the CM's conference hall in the Secretariat.
Last night also, people were coming to the casualty and all. So around 60 people sought treatment from different hospitals. Some of them were under observation. Some of them had very superficial minor burns. And so they, around 60 people who were injured were brought to the different hospitals, casualties, and one was brought dead. The priority of the government at present is to save the lives. So we are giving maximum support, maximum possible. We have burns unit here, we have burns unit at our different hospitals, and also maximum best possible treatment is being given to the patient.
Meanwhile, Indian Minister Rajiv Chandrasekhar met the victims of the bomb blasts and prayed for the speedy recovery of the injured.
I have come here today on behalf of all my colleagues in government to first of all visit with the patients and the victims of this bomb blast, to meet with them and see how they are doing, what their progress is, to meet with the hospital staff, and of course to also visit the site where this bomb blast happened. It is tragic that 3 lives were lost and many were injured.
And after the visit, Minister Chandrasekhar said that the NIA, the State Police and the NSG are investigating the cause of the accident and the results are awaited.
I visited the center as well, and I saw the NIA and the NSG and the Kerala police teams were already there. And I certainly did not go inside, but we look forward to the results of their investigation.
Speaking at the 4th Goa Maritime Conclave, India's Defence Minister Rajnath Singh urged to find solutions that promote cooperation and trust among countries. This year, Goa Maritime Conclave is being held from the 29th to the 31st of October.
The optimal outcome often involves cooperation and building trust among nations, but the fear of being taken advantage of or acting alone in the hostile world can lead to suboptimal decisions. The challenge is to find solutions that promote cooperation, build trust, and mitigate the risk associated with the prisoner's dilemma situations in international relations. Hence, it is important for the country to build trust between them so that optimally collaborative interaction is possible for our mitigation frameworks.
Now, weeks after a devastating flash flood in India's Sikkim state, the Teesta Stage 6 Dam barrage deck opened on Monday. The temporary bridge connecting East Sikkim with South Sikkim will cater to all the vehicular movement from Gangtok to Namchi. A permanent bridge will be constructed parallel to this barrage deck. However, as per state officials, a permanent bridge will be operational in about 4 months from now.
In Namping and Adrisgaon area were disconnected during the flash floods which occurred on the 4th of So this is the temporary bridge on top of the barrage deck of Teesta Stage 6 project. So earlier the concrete slab was laid sometime in the beginning of October, but it takes sufficient time for the concrete to set. That's the reason why from today we'll be starting the traffic movement. So this barrage deck can cater to all the LMB movement, which will go from Gangtok district to Namchi district. And we have regulated the traffic movement since most of the dam-related works will also have to go on throughout the day. So we have regulated the traffic movement. And I would also like to inform that a permanent bridge, a Bailey bridge, will be constructed in parallel to this barrage deck. That will be operational in about 4 months' time.
And still to come on DD India News Hour. Russia and Ukraine continue to target each other's drones, command posts and electronic warfare systems. South Korea and the US hold large-scale joint military drills involving stealth warplanes.
That never stops, where information shapes our reality. One app stands out, helps you stay ahead of time. Introducing the DD India app, your gateway to a world of news right at your fingertips. Your most trusted source of news goes global, goes digital. Explore a world of options, top stories, live updates, in-depth analysis and more. Stay informed wherever you are. Real-time alerts keep you ahead of the curve always. The DD India app, connecting you to the world one story at a time. Download now and explore the world of knowledge, insights, and authentic information.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. A quick recap of the headlines. Israel pounds northern Gaza as it steps up ground assault. Airstrikes hit areas near 2 hospitals where thousands have taken shelter. UN Security Council to hold an emergency meeting at UAE's request to discuss situation in Gaza. An Indian foreign minister meets families of 8 Indians facing death row in Qatar, promises to make all efforts to secure their release. Now, DD India continues to bring you the latest from the Israel-Gaza conflict. Even as the death toll in Gaza has crossed 8,000 and over 21,000 people injured in Israel's bombardment on the Gaza Strip, the situation in West Bank also remains tense, with 111 people dead and more than 2,000 injured in the Israeli airstrikes. My colleague Amritpal Singh takes stock of public anger on the streets of Ramallah in the Palestinian Authority. Take a look.
While most of the casualties are happening in the Gaza Strip, with Israel stepping up its military campaign, but Israel is also hitting targets in West Bank. I'm right now standing inside Palestine and West Bank, and if I can ask my camera person to show you the scenes here, the people are protesting after a target was hit inside West Bank. So far, in various strikes within West Bank, over 110 people have been killed and many more arrested. In hundreds, about 700 people arrested. Arrests are being made every day, and over 2,000 people have been injured. So the people here ask that what is the logic of arresting or hitting targets inside West Bank? Though Israel says that Hamas has its supporters in West Bank and they are targeting them. But the question being asked in these protests is that why is Israel hitting them when Israel claims it is not hitting civilians. Civilians are merely collateral damage, and it is hitting Hamas terrorist bases. With cameraman SP Dubey, this is Amritpal Singh for DD India in West Bank, Palestine.
As the Israeli forces entered Gaza and carried out the second phase of a ground assault against the Hamas, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu spoke with US President Joe Biden on Sunday. Though Netanyahu's office did not provide much details on the conversation, the White House National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan on Sunday said in a TV interview that the US believes that Israel should take every means possible to distinguish between Palestinian civilians and the Hamas militants in its military operation in Gaza.
war, of course, is highly unpredictable, so it's difficult to predict how it will play out. What I will say this, Israel was attacked in a brutal, vicious terrorist attack. They are taking steps to go after the terrorists who struck them. They have been doing so from the air. They're now doing so on the ground. And Hamas, this brutal terrorist organization that conducted the attack, is hiding behind the civilian population, which puts an added burden on Israel to differentiate between the terrorists and innocent civilians. But it doesn't lessen their responsibility under international humanitarian law and the laws of war to do all in their power to protect the civilian population. And that's equally true moving in on the ground as it is taking strikes from the air.
Meanwhile, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres has reiterated his call for the immediate release of hostages in Gaza and a humanitarian ceasefire.
The world is witnessing a humanitarian catastrophe taking place before our eyes. More than 2 million people with nowhere safe to go are being denied the essentials for life: food, water, shelter, and medical care, while being subjected to relentless bombardments. I urge all those with responsibility to step back from the brink. And I reiterate my appeal for an immediate humanitarian ceasefire, the unconditional release of all hostages, and the delivery of a sustained humanitarian relief at a scale that meets the needs of the people of Gaza. We must join forces to end this nightmare for the people of Gaza, Israel, and all those affected around the world, including here in Nepal.
The Secretary of the Indian Department of Science and Technology, Professor Abhay Karandikar, has said that India can steer 6G standardization and become a global exporter of such technologies. Addressing a session at the Indian Mobile Congress in New Delhi, Professor Karandikar said India is contributing hugely to the massive escalation of global data volume and hope that by 2030, India's share may increase to 1/3 of the total data generated. He further says that India has an ecosystem to bring the country to a position of strength in terms of mobile networking technologies. My colleague Ajay Mishra now joins us for more on this story. Ajay, what more can you tell us about the ecosystem in India today to strengthen mobile network technologies in the country?
So thank you, Ramesh. We understand that India is a large market for telephony, telecom industry per se, but we were the software power, and were nowhere when it comes to the manufacturing of the hardware part of telecom equipments. But now the story has changed. India have the end-to-end 5G stake of its own, and is now among the top nations who have the indigenously able to manufacturing the 5G stake. There are only 3 nations besides India which have end-to-end 4G and 5G stakes, and that's a remarkable achievement of Make in India under the telecom sector. And that's very important to understand that India has also become a country which have rolled out the 5G at a very fast rate, and if I may call it as the fastest in the world, it would not be a wrong notation. The second aspect of the Indian telecom industry is that tariffs are very low at this moment. For example, if you go to Switzerland and buy 1 GB data, you will cost anywhere between $50 to $55, whereas in India you will just have to pay $2. So look at the difference of costing. So we have one of the lowest tariffs in the world. We have the indigenous manufacturing capacity of 4G and 5G, but now India is talking about the 6G technologies, and we have the 6G vision, which has been inaugurated by the Prime Minister a few months back, and we understand that India will be among the top nations to have a 6G manufacturing base, and also we are hoping to become the exporter of very critical technologies when it comes to the newer age telecom technology and base to come.
Ajay,
by
you
2030.
spoke about 6G, so on that, in that respect, Ajay, what are the prospects of India becoming a global exporter of 6G technologies?
So just 9 years back, we were importing all the telecom, the mobile phones in the country. Just to share you an data, we are exporting almost 95% of that. We are manufacturing all the mobiles in India, and that has been a huge success. Now we are exporting to over 70 countries. So all the technologies that we have actually developed indigenously are being exported to 70 countries, and that's where India is gaining confidence. During the Indian Mobile Congress, also we were speaking to the DG of Cellular Operators Association of India this morning only in our program Economy Today, where he told us that the footprint have doubled. There were more Indian companies than the foreign companies, unlike the last year where the foreign companies' participation was more. So I understand that there are more and more startups coming into the telecom industry, and they are going to offer a solution which are going to disrupt the telecom industry. And everyone is fearful of the fact that the Indian technology is world-class and very low in the cost, and that is going to disrupt the whole market. And everybody is fearful that the Indian technological startups will come up and actually disrupt the markets. So yes, the world is looking at Indian youngsters, young minds, young startups, and the technology people. We have also signed an MOU with America's 6G ecosystem. So India and USA might be the co-producer and the co-creator of many patents, whereas India is eyeing to have a 10% of global patents when it comes to 6G. It's very important from the point of view of startup ecosystem. We believe that we are going to have a huge mark on this global telecom industry. When it comes to 6G, we have started the preparations, and it will take 6 to 7 years to actually yield the result, and we'll be on the top. That's what the government is hoping, and industry is actually have started working on that, Ramesh.
All right, we'll leave it at that, Ajay. Thank you. Much appreciated. Moving on, the air quality in India's capital, New Delhi, and surrounding areas remain in the very poor category for the third consecutive day on Monday. The Pollution Monitoring Agency recorded the air quality index at 322 with PM10 levels on Monday. The authorities have urged commuters to use public transport and avoid private vehicles, while directing the government to increase the availability of electric buses and metro trains. People complained about burning sensation in the eyes and low sunlight.
There are many reasons of pollution, like vehicular and industrial emissions and dust, due to which I have trouble breathing and feel as if something is stuck in my throat.
And DD India's Jessica Taneja spoke to the Director General of Meteorology, Mrityunjay Mahapatra. Here's what he said.
While there are many factors that contribute to Delhi's worsening air pollution, one among them this year is less rain. Less rains are contributing to more air pollution. Could you explain in detail as to how that works out?
Yes, in the month of October, Delhi has not experienced much rainfall activity. The last time when Delhi got rainfall is on 16th of October. Thereafter, there has been no rain. So when it rains, it helps in dispersing the pollution and putting it down on the surface. In addition to that, there has been no movement of a significant western disturbance during, say, past 10 days. As a result, there has been no such rainfall activity over Delhi.
Do we expect relief after 5 days or a week? As you said, Delhi is going to be dry, so are we going to expect anything, any showers anytime soon?
As of now, we are not expecting any rainfall during 5 to 7 days. But after this favorable western disturbance, which is expected to move across northwest India during 31st October to 2nd November, another western disturbance is expected on 7th of November. That will be a little more intense. Maybe it may help to some extent at that time.
Meanwhile, India's financial capital, Mumbai, witnessed relatively better conditions, and the overall air quality was recorded in the moderate category. The AQI of the city was 128 on Monday. Now take a look at some other stories making news in India. The death toll in a train collision in the state of Andhra Pradesh has reached 13, even as the rescue operation continues. Disaster response teams are now assisting in the search and rescue operations. Indian Railways Minister Ashwini Vaishnav has been monitoring the situation from a war room in New Delhi. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi has announced an ex gratia of 200,000 rupees, that's $2,400 for the kin of the nation. Harimau Shakti 2023, a joint military exercise between India and Malaysia, is underway. It covers a vast canvas of multi-domain operations in a sub-conventional environment. The exercise is being conducted at Foreign Training Node Umroi Cantonment in Meghalaya from 23rd October and will conclude on the 5th of November. A joint military exercise between India and Kazakhstan will be starting from Monday, that's 30th October, with 120 personnel from Indian Army and Indian Air Force contingent taking part in it. The 7th edition of the joint military exercise, named Exercise Kazand 2023, will go on till the 11th of November. A Vigilance Awareness Week 2023 is being observed from 30th October to the 5th of November with the theme Say No to Corruption, Commit to the Nation. On the occasion of Awareness Week, India's Central Vigilance Commissioner P.K. Srivastav administered an oath of integrity to the Central Vigilance Commission personnel. Moving on, in a groundbreaking move, the White House is set to unveil an extensive executive order on artificial intelligence on Monday, aimed at tackling immigration, safety and boosting technological advancements. The order mandates assessments for advanced AI models used by federal workers and facilitate the entry of skilled workers. Now, this comes as the U.S. government seeks to regulate AI amidst global concerns and ahead of an international summit on AI risks. The order would also require federal agencies, including defense and intelligence, to evaluate the integration of AI into their work with a focus on cyber security. While the EU is working on its own regulations, the US is in early stages of developing a bipartisan legislation on artificial intelligence. Now more than ever, there is a pressing need for AI regulation. Global governments emphasize the importance of addressing concerns such as misuse, threats and risks. Now, their efforts are focused on promoting responsible use, fostering innovation and ensuring security. Take a look at the next report.
Governments across the globe are taking decisive action to regulate the advancement of AI due to concerns about its misuse, threats and potential risks. Australia, the UK, China are developing codes, regulations and safety institutes to prevent deepfakes, AI-generated child sexual abuse material and breaches.
Get this wrong, and AI could make it easier to build chemical or biological weapons. Terrorist groups could use AI to spread fear and destruction on an even greater scale. And in the most unlikely but extreme cases, there is even the risk that humanity could lose control of AI completely.
Meanwhile, the European Union is nearing an agreement on new AI rules and has initiated the development of a voluntary code of conduct to enhance global AI governance standards. Multiple countries, including France, G7, Italy and Japan, are also considering regulatory measures. Spain's Data Protection Agency is investigating potential AI-related data breaches. While in the United States, the government is set to unveil an executive order on AI that will require assessments of advanced AI models before the use by federal workers, emphasizing responsible implementation. The United Nations and India aim for international collaboration in establishing ethical frameworks and global agencies for responsible AI usage. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi has called for a global framework on the expansion of ethical AI tools. These regulatory efforts by international organizations, countries and regions underscore the recognition of the importance of responsible AI governance. The aim is to ensure the ethical and secure use of AI, promoting innovation while safeguarding against potential risks. Sujata Lochab for DD India.
And still to come on DD India News Hour. Afghanistan take on Sri Lanka in a Cricket World Cup match. And Manchester City registers an emphatic win against Man U. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. Now, 30th October is the 114th birth anniversary of Father of India's nuclear program, Dr. Homi Jehangir Bhabha. It's a look at his major contributions, achievements, and lesser-known facts about the renowned nuclear physicist.
Coupled with a doubling of the world's population within the next 100 years, which is the least that we can expect, this would exhaust the known reserves of fossil fuels in under a century.
Homi Jehangir Bhabha, hailed as the pioneer of Indian nuclear advancements, possessed an indomitable spirit that propelled his meteoric rise to greatness. Born into a wealthy family of industrialists and businessmen in Mumbai, his destined path seemed predetermined. However, his restless soul yearned for the ethereal secrets of physics. In 1927, he embarked on a transformative journey to Cambridge University, a fateful decision that would set the stage for his monumental contributions. In a letter to his father in 1928, young Homi described his passion for physics.
I seriously say to you that business or a job as an engineer is not the thing for me. It is totally foreign to my nature and radically opposed to my temperament and opinions. Physics is my line. I know I shall do great things here, for each man can do best and excel in only that thing for which he is passionately fond, in which he believes, as I do, that he has the ability to do it, that he has in fact been born and destined to do it. Besides, India is not a land where science cannot be carried on.
Armed with a prestigious PhD in nuclear physics, Bhabha returned to his motherland, India, swathed in promise. As the inferno of World War II raged on, Bhabha embarked on the mission of enlightenment at the Indian Institute of Science. The seeds of change had been sown, leading to the inception of the legendary Tata Institute of Fundamental Research in 1945. He established the esteemed Bhabha Atomic Research Center and orchestrated the groundbreaking UN Conference on Atomic Energy, leaving an indelible mark on global nuclear discourse. On a fateful day in 1966, Bhabha's vibrant existence was abruptly extinguished. A tragic plane crash, mere moments before a rendezvous with destiny in Geneva, silenced the illustrious physicist, leaving behind an irreplaceable void. His legacy, however, burns brightly, forever etched in the annals of scientific achievement. Sujata Lochab for DD India.
And now to all the news in the world of sport with Mark Lynn. Mark, over to you.
Thanks a lot, Ramesh. And let's start with cricket. You know, the dark horse Afghanistan, they are taking on Sri Lanka at the moment in the ICC Cricket World Cup. The match is being played in Pune. This match is currently on, and we shall get you updates. Afghanistan won the toss and opted to bowl first. Fazal Haq Farooqi replaced Noor Ahmed. And for Sri Lanka, Chamira replaced Kumara, and also came into the playing 11 of Kunar Ratne. Afghanistan are coming off their splendid victory against Pakistan, having won 2 out of 5 of the games, while Sri Lanka are also 2 wins. So it looks like this is a fight for the bottom of the table. Now, India thrashed England by 100 runs
in that low-scoring match on Sunday to register their 6th consecutive win at the ICC World Cup. Mohammad Shami took 4 for 22 with a 4-wicket haul in Lucknow, and India successfully defended that target of 299 for 9 against the defending champions. Jasprit Bumrah also starred with 3 for 32. Here's a report.
India defeated England by 100 runs in the ICC Cricket World Cup in Lucknow to register their 6th consecutive win. Indian pacers Jasprit Bumrah and Mohammad Shami wreaked havoc to defend India's below-par score of 229 runs and hand England their 5th loss in the tournament. England put India to bat first after winning the toss. India, who were batting first for the first time in the tournament, got off to a rather shaky start with the bat, having lost opener Shubman Gill and Virat Kohli in the first power play phase, while Gill was cleaned up in the 4th over by Chris Woakes. Virat Kohli, who had a tremendous tournament so far, got out on a duck. However, Rohit Sharma then led from the front with a knock of 87 of 101 deliveries as he forced a 91-run stand with KL Rahul for the 4th wicket. Rahul made 39 runs before he lost his wicket in the 31st over. Rohit looked to carry on following Rahul's dismissal, but was caught by Liam Livingstone in the deep in the 37th over of Adil Rashid's ball, being dismissed for 87. Rohit had forced a 33-run stand with Surya Kumar Yadav before the former got dismissed. Sky then ensured that India's scoreboard get ticking and forced 25 runs with Jasprit Bumrah before being caught by Woakes at deep point in the 47th over. In the end, it was the duo of Bumrah and Kuldeep Yadav who forced 21 runs, who took India to a respectable total. David Willey finished with 3 wickets, while Chris Woakes and Adil Rashid finished with 2 wickets. Mark Wood claimed 1 wicket. Having put up a below-par total, India needed early wickets to put pressure on a struggling England batting unit. Chasing mere 229, England, who didn't had good of start in all their games, suffered another collapse. Bumrah and Shami hunted in tandem to deal a decisive blow, leaving England at 39 for 4 in the 10th over. Shami took 4 for 22, while Bumrah took 3 for 32, as they stole the show with the ball for the unstoppable hosts, as England batters once again cut a sorry figure as they slumped 229 all out in 34.5 overs for their 5th loss in 6 games. England are virtually out of semi-final contention. This is their 4th consecutive loss and 5th overall. With this win, India moved to the top of the league table, being the only unbeatable side in the tournament. Abhishek Mahajan's report, DD India, Lucknow.
Manchester City registered a dominant Derby Day victory at neighbours Manchester United on Sunday. The 3-0 win at Old Trafford took the defending champions up to 3rd, 2 points behind the Premier League leaders Tottenham. Red Bull's triple world champion Max Verstappen made Formula One history as the first driver to take 16 victories in a season. He won a crash-halted and action-packed Mexico City Grand Prix on Sunday. The 26-year-old Dutch also equaled the French great Alain Prost's haul of 51 career wins with his 5th win in 6 editions of the Mexican race at the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez. Well, that's about it, Ramesh, in sports.
Thank you, Mark. Appreciate it. Now, ahead of the Indian festival of Diwali, the Mayor of London organized an annual Diwali celebration at Trafalgar Square. The free public event had a large number of audience witnessing Indian traditional dance, music, and food from various parts of India that capture the festival's spirit. And that's all for this edition of DD India News Hour. Let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can connect with us on Facebook, X, and Instagram. You can also check out our website, ddindia.co.in. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I am Ramesh Ramachandran. From all of us here in New Delhi, thanks for watching DD India News Hour.